Hello and welcome to Rain Francis Art. My name is Rain. Today I'm going to show you how to paint this very easy Bob Ross style sunrise scene. So let's begin. This is what you'll need for today's painting. You're going to need a canvas of some sort. I don't have any actual canvas, so I'm using watercolor paper. It's Strathmore, cold pressed 140 pound watercolor paper. For brushes, I've got 3. Not sure if I'm going to use all 3 of them, but I will definitely leave a supply list in the description below. I've got a huge number 12 flat brush. I've got a fan brush here. It's a number 6. And I just have a dollar store paintbrush. It's a 1-inch paintbrush. For paint, today I'm using dollar store acrylic paint. This is the kind you can pour. I've got white and black. I've got green. And I've got, for the sky, yellow, orange, and red. I have some masking tape. That's optional because I like to frame out my page. And just a tip while I'm at it, don't use your fingers to push down the masking tape because you will burn your fingertips. Just use a cloth and do it that way. Trust me. I always say that, trust me, but really, I have burned my fingers that way. I have a couple of palettes that I'm sure I'm going to need. And I have some water on the side with a couple of towels here just to clean off my paintbrushes. And I also have some paper towel handy because I think I'm going to use that Bob Ross technique again, and I'll show you what I do there. All right, let me clean all this off so we can begin. Oh, and just on a passing note, I also have my hair dryer handy because I may use that to dry the painting so that I don't have to wait too long for the next step. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a very light line. This is just a yellow coloring pencil. It's Crayola. I believe I bought this at the dollar store because I'm going to have, let me see here. This is another dollar store paintbrush that I only use to wipe off dust from my page. So I always have that handy just in case. And I've got another pet hair here. Okay. All right. So yes, I'm going to sort of draw a little bit of a tree line. Very lightly. You probably won't be able to see that. But this is just for me. Okay. So that I know kind of where not to put too much of the sky colors, all right? If that doesn't make sense, it will in a moment. So I'm going to take my yellow and put a few little dabs of yellow on the top. Three should do it, but if I need more, I'll put more. Now I'm taking my orange color and I'm going to do the same thing, just a little lower. Okay, and I'm going to take my red color and do the same thing, but I have my tree line here. I can see it, so I'm only going to put 2 drops of red here. There we go. And inevitably, I will probably get some of this color into the area where I'm going to put my trees, but that's okay. I'll show you why later. So I'm taking my large flat brush. I'm just going to wet it so that it's a little supple, but I don't want it to be soaking wet. So I'm just going to dab it off on the paper towel. And I'm going to go across like this, and I'm going to spread that paint around my canvas. And if you feel you need more paint, just go ahead and grab some. Put more on your page. On your canvas, I should say. And don't forget to get in the corners if you've taped off, and right to the edges if you've taped off your canvas. Because when you take the tape off, you want it to look nice and, you know, nice and clean at the edges. And it's okay to move the colors up and down, by the way. We want this all to blend nicely. So this is my tree line here. I'm going to be careful with the red. Look at my paintbrush. It's got all 3 colors on it. That's artistic in itself, isn't it? Kind of cool. I think I need more red. Yeah, I definitely need a little bit more red there. You could add water to this too if you wanted to make it more of a wash. But I'm gonna stick to the acrylic, and no water added for me this time. I'm gonna bring that red up just a little bit. And I may put a little bit more orange in here because I see that there's a few spots that I missed. And I need a little more red too. I just want it to be darker at the bottom. I'm going to put some orange at the same time. Oh, why not? Let's put a little more yellow. Why not? We can afford to do that with dollar store paint. All right. I'm just gonna rinse off my brush because I'm gonna go into the yellow first, and I don't want to get any red up on the top. So I want to get all that red off my brush. And you see I'm wiping it off, it's still got some of the yellow on it. But now it's okay. So I'm just going to bring that yellow all the way across. It's going to be a nice vibrant yellow. Going down with my orange. There we go. Wiping off my my brush again, or rinsing it I should say, and then wiping it off because I don't want it to be too wet. I'm just going in and fixing a little bit here because I saw my brush stroke and I don't really want to see my brush stroke. There we go. I'm rinsing off my brush again and wiping it clean, and I'm just going in and blending a little more. Okay, that's fine. Just rinsing off my brush off camera, and I'm wiping it down. And here's another little tip: when you've rinsed off your brush, always just reshape it. And that goes for after you've washed it too. That way it'll keep its nice shape. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is start with, I was going to start with my tree line, but my acrylic paint is a little bit wet, so I'm going to take my hairdryer and I'm going to quickly dry it up on the cold setting, by the way. You don't want to heat up your paint. I just concentrated on drying this area here. I know that the orange and the yellow are still wet, but that's okay because I'm not touching that area anymore. I'm just going to go around this area here. I'm going to take my green color, and I'm just doing this on the fly. This was something I just thought about this morning, and I thought, well, why don't I try it? Put some green in there. I don't know how it's going to turn out. We'll see. And now I'm going to take a clean paper towel and scrunch it all up really hard. This is Bob Ross technique here. Open it up again. I already have orange paint on me. And when I watch Bob Ross, he never gets paint on his fingers. It's astounding. All right, so now I'm just scrunching it up a little bit like this, and I'm going to go and apply it like that. And I'm going to make sure that I get all the corners. And it's going to go up into the red. That's okay. That's kind of what we want. We want a little bit of a tree line. I need a little bit more green. Just a little bit. I'm going to take a new spot on my paper towel. Now, I don't want to do what I did here. I don't like what I did there. It's too solid a color. I want it to look as though it's foliage. So ideally, I would have wanted the whole thing to look like that, but I'm going to do something different. I'm going to take some black, and for this I need my palette. I'm going to put some black onto my palette and take a fresh paper towel and do the same thing. Scrunch it up and then open it up a little bit. And scrunch it up a little more so that I get some texture. And I'm going to take the tiniest amount of black. The tiniest amount of black. And I'm going to go over the whole thing. And I'm going to see how that looks. I may not like it, but I'm just trying to have some fun today. Because, you know, when you're staring at a beautiful sunrise, everything in the foreground is really dark because the sky is so bright. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm okay with this or happy with it. So I think what I'm going to do is switch to that 1-inch brush. I've got food on my mind. And I'm just putting it, the tip of the brush, I'm going to fill with black paint. And I'm going to go in and do what Bob Ross does with his paintbrushes. This is what he does. He just taps away. And I will need more paint for this, more black paint, that is. Okay, getting some of that black paint on the tip. I'm wiping some of it off because I don't want any huge solid colors. I want some texture. But I want to keep some of that green showing. Okay. I love this. This is so easy and it's so much fun. Okay. I'm taking my other palette here and I'm going to put some green in there. And I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to keep the black. I'm not going to wash off the brush. I'm just going to put some green in there. Wipe it off a little. And very gently tap on some of that green anywhere that I see white, because I do not want white showing through. I want it to be like, you know, a really thick forest. Okay, maybe down here a little bit of black, because the lower you go, the darker it should be. I think that looks pretty good. Now, what I'm going to do is dry the whole bottom area with my hair dryer. There's still a little bit of white showing, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do after. Okay, well that's more or less dry. So I decided I'm going to do something else. I'm going to, you know, that 1-inch dollar store brush, I'm going to clean that up, get all that black off of it. because I'm going to do something with yellow, and I hope that it looks okay. It's taking a while to clean this off. I got a lot of black on there. Okay, I think I have it all nice and clean. I just don't want it to be too wet. So I'm just wiping it off. Make sure that there's no black left and there's not too much water. Okay, so what I did was I put some yellow into one area of my palette, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to get the tip, load it up with yellow, but not a lot. I'm going to start very small. There's not much paint on here because I've wiped a lot of it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put some yellow highlights just kind of randomly around. Oh, that does look nice. Oh, I'm so glad I did this. Especially around the tops of this tree area because the light is shining on it. I might actually just stop there. I'm not going to do the whole thing. Sometimes I get carried away and I do more than I should. So what I'm doing is I'm just wiping off the yellow, making sure my brush isn't very wet. And I'm going to go back into that green, and anywhere I see that I have left some white showing, I'm going to put some green on there, and I'm wiping it off as well. Just want to make sure that none of that white canvas shows. And down here, I didn't reach the bottom of my masking tape, so I'm just doing that, and then I'm going to do this. Okay. And believe it or not, that's it. That's our painting. I'm just going to dry this up a little bit, and then we can take the masking tape off. Okay, it's time to take the masking tape off and reveal the masterpiece. This was so easy to do, but you know, the Bob Ross technique of painting is really simple, but it has such great results. As you can see, I mean, I think this looks pretty nice, and it looks as though maybe I spent more time on it than I did. But you can play around with this technique, especially those big 1-inch brushes. Those are great, those dollar store brushes. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment to make beautiful art. And you can do this, you can do a night scene if you want, instead of using yellows and warm red and orange. You could use blues and purples, and you can put a little moon in there with some stars, and you can have all black as your foliage, and you can use white as the highlights. That's another idea. Maybe I'll do that one day. All right, and a little pet hair got stuck under there just to add some fun texture. So there it is. I think that turned out really well, and it has a lot of depth in it because you think that maybe there's some hollows in there once in a while, and I really like how the yellow turned out, the highlighting. I hope that you enjoyed this very easy Bob Ross style painting, my friends. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed it, would you please like and subscribe, and please leave me a comment. I love reading your comments, and sometimes I'm late, but I do try to respond to every single one of them. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.